How are you going to maintain communications with the staters for your plans and the actions that you're taking?
Denny?
Well, I think it's important that we take a top-down approach. We like to work not only with our departments, but also with those in the House and the Senate, who in turn can pass our information and our message on to the counties and the cities themselves. So again, working not only with our departments directly under us, but also with the staters and their represented officials.
Thank you. Cool.
Okay, so this is kind of as a consensus as a whole for all of you guys. At this point, you've only been appointed to this office position for a day. What are some of the things you guys have already accomplished in each of your respective positions?
You guys want me to?
Yeah, go first.
Well, I assure you it feels like more than a day. Just the nature of our job entails that we've been working throughout operations, honestly, constantly. Our main focus so far has been the budget, but through the budget, we're also working on things like departmental missions, different projects we want to work on, certain space programs that are still in the works. I'm just joking, but really, as an administration, our main goal has been the budget, and then through the budget, our individual projects, as well as trying to communicate to counties and cities that we want direct involvement from each and every one of them.
So from the debates last night, you guys talked a lot about building a hydroelectric dam. So I was wondering what impact, positive and negative, will this have on?
You guys are all looking at me. Yeah, I got this.
Mike,
Alright, we'll just go ahead and cover the negatives, get them out of the way first. So obviously a lot of brought up maybe the industrial counties, oil counties especially. I brought up a lot of issues with the energy, and our number one thing is we're not forgetting about you guys. While we are moving towards green energy, our number one goal is to help all of the staters here, and that includes the oil counties. We will be with you guys 100% of the way. And we're moving, incentivizing the green move. We're not just like forcing people to do this. We're making it so if you go green, if you use this kind of energy and things like this with the dam, then you'll get certain tax breaks, incentives, things like that. So that helps. Now, the obvious positives, I mean, it's cleaner energy, it's better for the water, it provides jobs, and things like that. It's industry. I mean, it moves Boise State forward into the future, things like this. So definitely, overall, the dam is a project that we would really like to see through, that we're going to make sure that we push for it, do everything we can to see it through, and it will definitely have a good outcome for all of Boise State.
And one more. So how do you plan to finance this dam? And are you going to impose heavy taxes on the people to finance it?
So with the budget, we already allocated enough funds for the dam and other infrastructure for putting to power other power plants that planning to build in other counties for them to be funded. No new taxes will need to be increased or imposed just for the hydroelectric dam itself. Those are already covered in our budget that we pitched to the legislative branch today that will be most likely confirmed tomorrow morning.
Okay, I got two questions. The first one is, earlier this week, lots of counties encountered a setback due to an error in the simulation resulting in an incorrect amount of funds. Do you have any plans on helping them correct both economically and structurally?
Of course, with any mistake, with any disaster, with any downturn of the economy, whether through mistakes or through just hardship, the state has a responsibility to ensure that the citizens of the state can recover, have opportunities to recover, and are helped through recovery. Not out of recovery, but through. Our state administration, our mission really as a team is to ensure that these problems get fixed not by some magical budget, not by some magical tax break or some grant. It is through work and through direct legislation from cities, from counties, to the Senate, to the House, all the way up to me, to ensure that counties can get themselves back on their feet and that it's not just us giving them a lift.
Okay, and then my second question is, you spoke about it earlier, but do you feel that the space shuttle launch being talked about in Schmidt City is practical?
No. But when President Kennedy gave his Man on the Moon speech, neither was that. I've been surprised several times, just this week, by the staters here, and a plan for a space station or any kind of space mission, while surprising, wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, thank you.
So I got 2 questions. The first one is, following the debate last night, many staters may not know the entirety of what you all plan to do as a state official. Would you like to clarify what your main goals in office are?
Looks like it's up to me then.
Yeah.
Anyways, main goal so far of the Attorney General's office is to act everything under Article 2, Section 5 of the Boy State Constitution, which grants me a lot of legal rights within the state, and I guarantee you, those who declare war on the state of Kansas and its laws will be treated with everything that we hold dear in this fine state. And those who make war on us make war on the very values that we strive to succeed for. So let this be known to all those who seek to make war on this fine cabinet and the governor, the citizens, and everyone else who is attempting something, that we will strike back, and that is my job here. Thank you.
Alright. And then the second question is, recently a lot of attention has been given to the idea of beet ethanol being an alternative energy source. How do you think this idea will progress, and do you think it's a good idea?
I'll take it.
Absolutely. Go
So beet ethanol is a little bit about it, is that it's more energy efficient than corn ethanol. It is 50% less emissions and uses 40% less water in the production. So it's a much more valuable resource to use than corn ethanol, which is the most popular ethanol in the United States. So one thing I like to pitch is that farmers who are planning on producing ethanol should make this thing called energy beets, which is the sugar beet process. Energy beets also are not made for human consumption, so there's always that debate of whether or not this food should go feed a person who might not have food, or should it be used to make energy. That's always a sort of a morality debate people have when talking about ethanol, but there's no problem with energy beets because they're not able to be consumed by humans. They are strictly made for that energy process.
I would like to focus more on policies here. What is your proposed budget plan for? I know you guys have spent a lot of time today on that. What is your guys' proposed budget plan for the state?
All right. Well, our proposed budget is honestly it's quite similar to last year's. We had to make some issues. We started out with a $2 million deficit, so obviously that was a rather tough one. We did raise sales tax just by a little bit, and we raised taxes just minimum amount by about 0.5% on the very upper bracket. But we actually lowered taxes as a whole for the general population by lowering the taxes for the bottom half percentage of the people, which, I mean, if you guys have seen all these debates, like, is most of the people, a lot of them are unemployed, things like that. So, but focusing more on the budget, we tried the best we could to spread things out. We obviously didn't want to pick on any certain group or part of the budget. We made sure that we were fair to everything. We pushed especially also to honor those campaign promises that we made. We allocated money for the dam, we mentioned that. We allocated money for the schools, things like that, especially. And when it came to selecting offices and things like that for the budget, we were very fair when handing them out to the counties. We made sure that each county, especially the ones that when they needed a certain thing, we made sure that they got that. We were very fair, and honestly, it went really well. We had committees that talked today. We answered a lot of questions. It all went really well. People are being very receptive to it, which we greatly appreciate.
Thank you. And I have one more question for Governor Till. And you made claims during your campaign that you would be personally present in both the House and the Senate. Do you plan to uphold these promises?
I have upheld these promises as of today. Actually, I was there at joint committee meetings today talking through different specifics on the budget, answering questions that people may have had. I know specifically I was looking at, I think there was the Joint Committee on Taxes and Revenue that was talking about certain changes to the budget. They asked me my opinion, I gave them my opinion, and then we worked through, I made sure I told them they wanted a tax increase in one of the brackets. And so I was making sure since I simply propose a budget, they really amend and pass it, I was ensuring that if they were to go through with such a change, that it would go through with the interests of staters in mind, so that way any changes to the budget are positive changes. Of course, our budget is far from perfect, and I expected changes. So I was glad to meet personally with representatives and senators in order to try and help fix whatever problems were present.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you for your guys' time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, my question will be, you may, during your governor inaugural speech, you said something about the tabloids being unfair and unjust. Now, how do you think we can trust the cabinet when we have physical evidence of one of your people spending money on their campaign? When you claimed in the video, we have physical evidence that none of you have spent a dime on campaign funds. None of you have spent a dime on campaign, you have not been funded. But the main claim is that you have not spent a dime on campaigning.
Neither party, Nationalist nor Federalist, spent a dime on campaigning.
I'll take this one if you don't mind.
Go for it, Matt.
See, what I did is my governor right here, Mr. Till, he claimed that we didn't use any party money. We did not use Federalist money. We did not use Nationalist money. Now, yes, I did spend money on 3 note cards from my own bank account, money that I earned from my job, money that I did not take from any other citizen or any other person from the party. So there, I did spend on 3 note cards, but it was from my money that I earned from my job.
Can I just add on to that one, please? I was there, room 222. I saw all the forms, and you can take my word as AG that we didn't spend a single cent of another citizen's hard-earned cash on any of our campaigns. We got up there, used natural talent, and any slander that says that we did otherwise is fake news. That'll be all.
Okay, so kind of besides from this, looking towards Friday, what are your overall expectations and what do you want to get out of the session of Boise State as members of the legislature, members of an office position? What legacy do you want to leave here? What bills do you want to pass? What things do you want to get done in your time here, your short time here as office positions?
I think one of the main things we can accomplish as Federalists and Nationalists is just unity as a whole. I think a lot of us staters here are more moderates more than heavy lefts or heavy rights. So I think if we just try and unify through these next few days to get the most bills, to get the most legislation we can get through to make this Boise State the best experience we can have this year.
Also, if you don't mind, if I hop in this a little more on the policy side, it's important to note that our 2 big objectives are first and foremost the passage of the hydroelectric dam, as well as the passage of a bill that provides comprehensive K-12 education for every county that already doesn't have that.
I think that sums up.
You guys have?
I'm actually surprised no one brought this up. We just had an earthquake, so I do want to know what you guys think of that and how you guys are going to attack that and the effects it might have on the hydroelectric dam because it is a structure that could be affected by an earthquake.
Can I just let the press know that the governor and his cabinet is probably one of the most flexible elected officials that pretty much ever popped up in Boise State. I've seen this firsthand. So whatever Mother Nature might throw at us, disaster or blessing, I guarantee you, the cabinet, the governor, the Tomahawk cruise missile himself are flying at it full speed ahead and ready in the name of the state of Kansas.
I think
well, also another thing with that is obviously any structure in all of Boise State is going to be a structure that can be affected by an earthquake. I think maybe a better question rather than the dam would be how it would affect the mining companies as it was caused, or mining in the oil companies was caused by the fracking. Obviously, we are very, that's upsetting news to all of us. It's definitely something that comes to our mind first off and something we want to deal with right away. So obviously, but it's once again one of those things we're looking to policy. We're trying to move away from those things. We're trying to get to the green. You guys have heard this a million times. We're green incentives, trying to go green, everything like that. So you guys understand, we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that Boise State is safe for everyone, for all the staters in the counties. And that is our promise.
And finally, sorry, really short, I promise. There is already allocated in the budget a disaster relief fund.